Welcome to the Momentum Matters podcast, where we have courageous conversations with women leaders. You'll hear about their accomplishments, experiences, challenges, and best advice. If you're inspired by women who have overcome the barriers and gone on to do extraordinary things, you're in the right place. My name is Karen Taradas. I'm the founder and CEO of Social You, a digital marketing company specializing in social media management, training, and consulting. Our guest for today's episode is Patricia Arboleda, CEO and founder of Arboleda Coaching. Patricia is a successful executive and leadership coach, a seasoned career strategist, and an accomplished entrepreneur dedicated to helping driven women accelerate their success. Now here's our host, April Benitolo, CEO at Momentum Leaders, a Birmingham-based nonprofit on a mission to advance women in leadership.
I am so very excited to welcome our guest for the Momentum Matters podcast today, Patricia Arboleda. Patricia has done several things with us at the Momentum classes before, welcoming them in their opening retreat and leading us in several very, very meaningful sessions. And we've invited Patricia to come back this year, not only for this podcast today, but also to lead a couple of sessions at the Momentum Conference in March, as well as guide our class through their graduation ceremony in May. So Patricia, thank you so much for making time to be with us today.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. I'm always so excited to be with you and the Momentum tribe. And so thank you for inviting me. And I'm looking forward to the event, and because everything that you do and all the energy that I felt last year, I want to feel it again.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be there because there's a lot of pent-up demand. There's a lot of people who haven't been to a meeting in a really long time. In fact, I think our conference was the last big conference that most of our audience ever went to before the pandemic. So we're excited to host it again. So I wanted to get us started today, Patricia. I always like to help our audience understand the background behind our guests on the podcast. And just start with, especially with you being multicultural Latina, I think it's so interesting for people to hear. How did you grow up? Tell us about your family.
Great. Yeah. So as you said, I am Latina. I was born and raised in Colombia. And but I do have half of my family is from Colombia. The other half is French. So I have the double nationality. And I was brought up going every summer to see and be with my grandparents in France. So I grew up speaking French and Spanish. And then English is the language that I learned in school. And then when I moved to live here. So that's a little bit about my background. I was in Colombia until I turned 21. And then since then, I've been moving all over, both in the United States and in Europe. And so that's basically what has enabled me to build this multicultural background. Also within my job, building and leading different teams globally. So that helped me also add a little bit of that into that multicultural experience.
Yeah. Where did you grow up in Colombia?
So I was born in Bogota, but I grew up in Cali. And what people know about Cali is salsa. So I am a good dancer and I love to dance salsa. And that's the one thing that people think when they talk about Cali. So yeah, I was brought up in Cali.
That's fantastic. When you come to Birmingham, I know a couple of good salsa dancers.
So, okay, we need to try that.
Why not? Why not? So tell us about your family growing up.
So I am the oldest of three. I have a sister and a brother. And that's basically it. We lived in Cali, all of us. Now my sister lives in Spain. My brother is still in Colombia. And we are super close together. We grew up with the value of family being super important for us. So we Both of my parents are still alive, and so we are all very close together, even if we don't live in the same country or same continent. We try to be able to be together at least once or twice per year, all the family together.
And do you make use of FaceTime and Zoom and things like that now that that's all available?
We do. We used to do it more during the pandemic, honestly. Then you get back to the normal life and you stop doing it. Um, to be honest with you, I think I am on Zoom all day, every day. So I want to find different ways to stay connected with my family. So, but we speak almost with my mom. I do speak every day. With my dad, at least twice per week, and then my brothers and sisters, my brother and sister, well, at least once a week as well. So yeah, we stay connected.
That's very good. Very good. Was there anyone in particular that you feel like when you were growing up really led you to decide that you wanted to pursue this path? Because you really had a very hard charging career, and we'll get to more about that in a minute. But I'm wondering if when you grew up, if there was someone who really served as an inspiration or a role model in that way, or did it just kind of happen for you?
So I think that the breakthrough moment for me was to determine my career when I got divorced. So that's basically the breakthrough moment. But I think that both of my parents always told me how important it was to be determined, and determination was something that I had in my DNA, as well as discipline and resilience. So those are three things that I learned since I was little. I was always told that I had to be the best in school. So I grew up with that belief that you need to be perfect, which we're going to be talking about during the event. And so that made me, in a way, part of who I am today.
And do you feel like there was anything along the way that was a particular hardship or something that was really trying that you went through that helped you to early on maybe build your resilience?
Yeah. So I was married. I got married when I was 21, very young, super young. I got my son when I was 24, and I got divorced when I was 28. So if you think about it today, I mean, people are starting to think about getting married when they're 28. In my case, at 28, I was already divorced and I had a 4-year-old son. And I knew that I had to make it on my own. And so that, I think, was the most determining situation in my life that pushed me to, I mean, have that go get approach of I can do it and I will do it. And that determination of being successful at whatever I did.
And what did you study when you were in Colombia?
So I am an industrial engineer. And so I am an industrial engineer, and I am passionate about architecture and design. So I also did interior design. And so I have
When you were pursuing your industrial engineering degree, were there very many women in the course at that time?
Not really, no. So I grew up, so I have been throughout my life and my career. So when I started in engineering, there were very little women. And then I got into the corporate world, and it was in technology organizations and companies. So I was also one of the few women in the organization. So throughout my career and my life, I have been in situations where I am the minority.
Mm-hmm.
Once because I was a woman, and then when I moved here, I was a minority because of also not only gender but race. So I've experienced firsthand throughout my life being a minority. So both here and when I was living in Europe as well.
And how did that play out? Probably a lot of people in our audience don't know what that might feel like or what that might look like.
So one of the things that happen is that you try to be someone that you try to switch in order to be able to feel comfortable in the environment, right? To be accepted in the environment. And together with that comes the risk of losing your authenticity first, and also the risk of getting burned out because you're trying so hard to be able to uh, shift who you are to be able to be accepted. That is really a lot of work. So that was something that added a little bit more challenge into my career and my life. But once I accepted that I am who I am, and the fact that being or having that experience and having my accent and having the multicultural experience was making me unique in who I was. And so I learned that it was okay to be myself, and I didn't have to be trying to be someone else just to be accepted.
And do you think now that you have turned that into being an asset for you?
Of course, that's kind of my superpower as well, is the fact that because think about it, if you are able to speak different languages and you're able to, you have traveled and you have experienced different things, and so that brings you a different perspective of life. And so you have a lot to add, to bring to the table when you're surrounded by people and you're able to make an impact and influence. So you have one more to give up.
Yeah. So we'll get in a minute to what you're doing today in your career, but before we do that, I'd love to hear more about your progression after you graduated from school and kind of what led you to all these travels and the different companies that you worked for. And I know when you came and spoke with us with the Momentum classes last year, you mentioned that your career was so all encompassing and consuming that it just kind of ate you from the inside out. Just this is crushing pressure. So tell our audience more about that and how you handled that.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, so I got divorced when I was 28. At that time, I decided to move back to Colombia for a while to be able to be closer to my family. And so I started working with Compaq computers. And I was at the time living in Bogota. That was the time where there was a lot of terrorism happening in Colombia. So we had an incident in the family. So someone from my family was abducted by the guerrilla. And so that was a very difficult moment for everybody. So because of that, we then decided, most of us decided to leave the country. And that's when, with Compaq, I moved to Spain. And I lived in Spain for 8 years. I left Colombia with my son to go to Spain. And then HP got or bought, acquired Compaq. So I moved with Compaq to HP. And then that's when I started my career in sales and marketing within the company. So being a single mother, I had to make it happen for me and my son. So I became very workaholic, I must say. I was like full on board just to working many, many hours and making my work being my life, because I had the belief that that was what I had to do in order to be able to move forward and be able to be promoted, and with that have a better income and job security and financial security to take care of my son. So I spent many years doing that until I got to a point of burnout, like I was mentioning before. And I couldn't continue working in that way. We had another situation where my brother-in-law, who was, I mean, very close to me, like a brother for me, he got leukemia and he passed away from leukemia. So we were able to spend like 5 years with him going through all that process and learning about a lot about each one of us and the challenges and how we overcome situations like that. And so once he, passed, I decided that it was time for me to really make a breakthrough and change my life. And I decided to move to the United States. And so that's when, with Hewlett Packard, I moved to Miami. And I have been in Miami, living in Miami for the last 14 years. And so I continued being a workaholic for a while and traveling all over the world. I was responsible. I had a global responsibility. I was moving up the ladder. And I got to a point where I knew I had to change that. And so I hired an executive coach. And he actually helped me see life with a different lens and understand what was really the things that I had to really do in order to move forward and in order to be able to have a balance and be fulfilled and put things in perspective. He helped me put things in perspective in a way where I reprioritize things, and life is short and we need to really make the best of life. And so for me at that time, it meant being able to spend more time with my family and my son. I started exercising, so I started taking care of myself as well. And with that, all the changes came through in my life.
And so at what point did you decide to leave your career and start your own coaching business?
So I think that I started thinking about that, I'm going to say 6 years ago. I was already living here in Miami. I had already started working with my executive coach, and I knew that I wanted to do something different, that something that allowed me to make an impact. I have always been passionate about making a difference, and I wanted to connect with that, to have a purpose in what I was doing. But I was afraid, and for many years, the belief or the fear stopped me from really taking the steps to start my own business and leave corporate. And so my executive coach helped me work through my limiting beliefs and understand that I can do whatever I want to. And I was then empowered, and I made the decision a year ago. We were it was right before the pandemic, actually. It was in February, right before the pandemic started, that I made the decision and talked to my manager. And I told her, listen, I have made this decision that I want to do something different. And she said, yeah, just do it. But wait until the end of if you can, please wait until the end of the year, which for Hewlett Packard finishes in October. So I said, okay, I'm going to stay. And I didn't know that we were going to have the pandemic. So we were kind of in the middle of all the turmoil, and I was getting ready to leave corporate after 25 years being in a corporate environment. But I knew that I was making the right decision, and I knew that that was what I wanted to do. And so I kept on going, and I started my company in September, right before leaving corporate. And here I am, super excited and happy of everything that I have accomplished, and super happy to be able to make an impact, and helping people transform their lives.
So I think a lot of people, and women in particular, this pandemic has caused a lot of people to rethink their priorities and to rethink, how am I spending my time and with whom? And a lot of people are thinking about making a career change, as you have. And what advice would you have for someone who's like, I just don't know that I can leave the security, or maybe I don't have what it takes to do this next thing?
So so those are the fears that that we all have. I mean, first of all, sometimes we don't have clarity about what is it that we exactly want to do. And then when we know, or we have an idea of the things that we want to do, then we get stuck on the how am I going to do it, right? And so because we don't know the how, because we have never done it, so that also becomes like another belief that stops us from moving forward. So it's what I would say is the first thing that you need to do is have clarity on what is it that you want to do, but not only what, most importantly, why you want to do it. When you connect with your why, in my case, for example, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to connect with my purpose. I wanted to find fulfillment. And for me, fulfillment came from doing those things. And so when you connect with your why, and then things are going to unfold, and you will find the way to do it. But you need to be convinced of the fact that you'll be able to do it. And with that comes the change of mindset, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about during the event.
So I'd like to talk a little bit more about that. Let's get to the conference before we run out of time. So you are actually delivering not one but two sessions. So thank you for that. And I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about what you're going to be talking about at the conference.
Yeah, of course. So there's going to be one session about building your brand. Okay. And building your brand is super important because we have a tendency to think that we are what we do. And so when we are in a corporate environment, our title starts defining who we are. That's what we think. And that is not true. So we need to really be able to work on understanding what our identity is, what's the value that we bring, what is that thing that makes us unique, and then build that brand. because if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it for us. And we might as well, take control of how people perceive us. So that's basically what we're going to talk about during that session. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some many actionable strategies that will help participants to build a brand, leave the room with an elevator pitch that is going to help them stand out from the crowd and shine with their uniqueness and in an authentic way, so they don't have to be someone that they're not. Right? So that's one thing. And the other thing, or the other session, is going to be all about getting out of that perfectionist trap, because some of us grow up with the belief that we need to be perfect and that we need to be that superwoman and do everything. And so
Patricia, I don't know any women like that.
well, here is one.
I think it's every woman that goes through momentum.
Yes.
We agree they have been in that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, it's all about learning how to hang up the superwoman cap, because we don't need it. We don't need to be a superwoman for anybody. So it's just connecting with our power, understanding that the belief that we need to be, perfect is not real, and how to break the status quo and take action and reach your goals. And that's basically everything we're going to discuss in that session.
Fantastic. Well, we are looking very much forward to it. I know you are getting super booked up with your consulting and executive coaching work that you're doing from Miami. So we are super pleased that you're going to take the time to come to Birmingham and share your wisdom with the audience at the Momentum Conference. And thank you again, Patricia, for being here today to talk with us and share your experiences. And if you would, could you tell our audience how they can get in touch with you?
Of course. So they can either look me up on LinkedIn, Patricia Arboleda, or on Instagram, Arboleda Coaching, and my website also, Arboleda Coaching, and you'll find a way to book a call there, and so we can talk. I'll be happy to connect and talk with if you have questions. I do individual coaching, and I also do a lot of programs for corporations on leadership development and workshops and speaking engagements and things like that. So, yes.
So that is Arboleda Coaching, ARBORLEDA coaching.com.
Yeah, it's ARBOLEDA coaching.com. Right.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us, Patricia. We will see you in March.
I will see you there. Looking forward to it.
As are we. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.